In MVC apps, you can overload your methods like you can in any other programming language. It doesn't matter what framework you have, you're allowed to overload apps, and it looks at signatures to kind of differentiate which one it needs to execute. In MVC, you can actually use the same form to display empty when they need to enter the data, and you can use that exact same form to display data that has been entered. But in order to do that, you have to use the get attribute and the post attribute. HTTP get is the one that will display the empty form. HTTP post is the one that looks for the data that is associated with the model, and it will display the data in the form. Okay, so here's just a little different example. Okay, so this is got a little bit more going on than the one in the book. So we've got a fitness app, and we have a members class. And so we've got all of our different properties. You'll notice that some of them have default values. Okay, and then we've got a little calculation here. And for the calculation, basically the controller is going to have to call that after the data's been filled in. Okay, so I mean, you can't very well calculate the BMI without the weight and the height. So if they haven't filled it in, there's no way to figure it out. Okay, so it's the controller that's going to end up calling this. So how we would code up the controller, the get is pretty simple. The get basically just goes to the view, and this view is called member info, and it's going to display an empty form. Once they submit the form, in the form tag, the method is set to post. So it goes back into the controller, and this little section of code is going to be executed because now the method is post. And so the parameter or argument that's going to be pulled in is the model. So this is my member model that I'm pulling in here. So members is my class, model is what I'm calling it. And you can see here, I'm storing the BMI in a view bag, and I'm getting it through this little method call. So I'm using model, which has all the data filled in, to call calc BMI. Calc BMI is up here, so it's going to return that calculation, and we're storing it in a view bag. Okay, and then I am routing to a little different view. It's a confirmation view, and I am passing the model. The view bag is automatically going to get passed along. I don't need to pass it as a parameter, but I do need to pass the model if I want my view to have the model data. Okay, so these both of these action methods are called member info. Okay, a couple things differentiate them. We've got the attribute HTTP get and HTTP post. Get is basically what it does by default. It's only going to do HTTP post if they have submitted a form. Okay, and because we have overloaded the index method name, we have to have unique signature. And so pulling in the model here makes the signature unique.